Hey, and welcome back to Jordan Semro VO. This is now my second video doing something like this, and we're just going to continue with the series answering questions about voice acting. And the number one question that I hear about voice acting, whether it's on Reddit, in comments, or anything like that, is how do you get started in voice acting? I mean, it seems like this mystical, uh, out of reach thing, but in fact, there is a path, and that path will change from person to person. But there are some basics, things that will help you along your way that should apply to just about everyone. I mean, I'm speaking from my own experience, but we'll get into what those things are here in just a moment. So, what are these things that you need to know before you get started in voice acting? Number one, as I said in the last video, voice acting is acting. That's it. Your voice does not matter so much as your acting ability does. Anybody can be a voice actor as long as they have a voice if they can act. That's what you're actually striving for as a voice actor. Number two, when you're getting started, you don't need to invest thousands of dollars into your setup. You can get started on very basic equipment and start voice acting. You can audition. You can do things with pretty simple stuff. You can use a phone. You can use a phone as your microphone. You can get into a closet, and the clothes around you will make a much better recording space than you hanging out in your kitchen or whatever it might be. And the other thing that you should know is not to get into this thinking that this will be a full-time job. I've been very, very fortunate to be able to make this my full-time job, but that required a lot of work, and that required a love for the craft and a dedication that comes from passion for the craft. And eventually, I was able to turn this into a full-time job because of the work and the dedication that I put into it. Don't go into this thinking that this will be a full-time job, because for the vast majority of people, it won't be. So, we kind of covered this a little bit in the last one. We'll go a little bit more in depth, and I'm sure that there will be a future video that will really flesh this out. But what do you need to get started in voice acting? To keep it as simple as possible, you need a phone with a microphone. You need a quiet place to record. And just to clarify, a quiet place to record is so much more important than a high quality, expensive microphone. The place that you record in is what actually makes you sound good. Because once you get reverb, once you get outside noise, all of this stuff coming in, a very expensive microphone, a high quality ribbon microphone, or a U87 is going to sound like absolute crap, absolute garbage in an untreated space. So treating your space is very, very important, or finding a good place to record. Like I said, potentially in a closet. You need a computer so that you can record into something, and you need a DAW, or a digital audio workstation. And what that is essentially just software that can take your audio and ingest it into your computer. From there, you can edit that audio, you can cut things out, you can make changes, you can adjust the equalization and add a compressor, all of that kind of stuff. But a digital audio workspace is what you need. And you can get started for free with something like Audacity. That's how I got started, was using Audacity. And then eventually I moved to Reaper on the recommendation of Mike Delgaudio from Booth Junkie. People also really like things like Adobe Audition, but it is expensive. It does require a subscription to be able to keep that. Reaper is just a one-time payment if you want to get rid of it, but it also does have a lifetime trial that you can continue using as long as you'd like. The last thing that you need then is an audition, and you can find auditions in a lot of places, and we'll go over some of those free beginner places in just a little bit, so hang in there. All right, the next thing that you're going to need is resources. And what do I mean by resources? I mean places that you can go to get your questions answered, to give you some guidance as to where to go next. Now, I'm not going to be able to cover everything that you need in this 10, 15-minute video. But there are lots of resources that you can use out there completely free or very cheap that will answer a lot of those questions and that will tell you, hey, maybe this is the next step that you need to take. So, to begin, you've got a couple of books that I really, really enjoy. One of my favorites is Voiceover Voice Actor with Yuri Lowenthal and Tara Platt, both very accomplished voice actors that do just about anything that you can think of. You've definitely heard their voices if you play video games, watch animation, things like that. They are prolific and very, very good at what they do. This book has lots of anecdotes, stories about their time in the industry. It has advice as to what you can do, practices, some roadmaps, warm-ups, all of these things, and it's excellent. I got the audiobook, which is kind of interesting because you actually hear the voice actors voice acting a book about voice acting. So, and there are some cool little things that they do with the audio version that I really like. So check that one out. You have The Art of Voice Acting. This is an absolute classic, a staple in the realm of voice acting when it comes to books about the business. This is by James Alberger. He's been in the business forever and knows what he's talking about. He's seen changes that have happened over the course of the VA industry for decades at this point, and has, I believe, continued to update the book with future editions as time has gone on. Definitely check out The Art of Voice Acting. Now, for free online, you can also go to iwanttobeavoiceactor.com. This is by D. Bradley Baker, another one of those prolific voices that you have heard in so many things, even if you don't realize it. Now, what I really like about this website is that there is a roadmap for new voice actors, and you can go through and see step by step, have I done this? Have I done this? Have I done this? And it's a great way to get an idea of where you're going and what you still need to do to progress in your career. And it's very easily digestible. They have content like FAQs and like I said, that roadmap and so many other things that are entertaining, fun, and most importantly, informative about what you can expect getting into this industry. So check out iwanttobeavoiceactor.com. And I know I sound like a fanboy because I've brought him up twice already in the last two videos, but check out Boost Junkie with Mike Delgadio. He focuses a lot more on the technical side of things. He does things like microphone reviews, studio setup, and he also has a really active Discord, which is great. Very, very entertaining and natural performer on YouTube, and also very active in his Discord. So you get a lot of very experienced people in that Discord, myself included, plug, plug, plug. But you also get to talk directly with Mike. He's actually responding to things and just has turned out to be a really nice guy. It doesn't seem to just be a camera persona. So next, let's talk about what I said at the beginning, that voice acting is acting. And because of that, you need a coach. There are people that might be more naturally attuned to acting, but we also need those people who will call us out on our BS if we're not doing things correctly, or to guide us into doing things better or reconsidering our notions about what a script could be like. What you should look for when you get a coach is somebody who's reputable in the vertical that you'd like to join, whether that be commercials, animation, video games, whatever. You want to find somebody who is established in that. And that can come in a whole bunch of different forms. That could be a voice actor who is in that business directly. I know that there are some agents that do this, but I've heard that generally going with agents is not the best way to get into it because they are focused a lot more on the business side of things, even though they do hear a lot of auditions coming through. I might be wrong. I don't have personal experience with that, but I have heard a few horror stories. You could look for casting directors. There are casting directors that will offer coaching, and what's nice is that they're the ones who are hiring. Not saying that they're going to hire you, but they know exactly what they're looking for when they hear auditions. So they'll be able to listen to your work and tell you this is why you would or would not get selected for this role from their perspective. And every casting director is going to be different in what they look for, some in big ways, some in small ways, but it gives you an insight into what they're thinking when they are casting a project. And so casting directors can actually make some really great coaches. When it comes to coaching, you should be looking for coaches in various areas. You should be looking for acting coaches, obviously. If you're getting started, a studio setup coach like Mike would be a great option so that you have your sound set up the way that it should be for voice acting. Marketing coaches and the business plan coaches can also be very, very helpful in terms of getting yourself out there and making yourself known in the industry, not just through auditions directly, but that when people search for, I need a voice actor on Google, your name might pop up because you have done the SEO on your website correctly. You've done marketing, you are active on social media. All of this stuff comes together to make you just more hireable and more visible to people who need to hire in the long run. And the biggest thing about coaching is that it doesn't end. No matter how good you get in the industry, no matter how long you've been in the industry, coaching is a consistent thing because getting that outside information, that outside perspective of your performance is very, very crucial to continuing to develop even years and decades into the industry. And a good coach shouldn't end your relationship just because you are done with the coaching package. I also made the quote over here, but you can't see it because it's not on camera. But for instance, my main coach that I worked with was J. Michael Collins. He's a very well-known figure in the industry. And what I liked is that I finished up my sessions with him, but then I still talk to him on a regular basis via email if I have questions. If I have questions about a contract negotiation or how something should be handled, or if I even need feedback on an audition that I put in saying, why might this not have worked out the way I needed? He'll listen and he'll respond. He's a busy guy, but he has maintained a relationship. And I love that because now if I see him at conferences or something like that, we still know each other and we can still talk, even though I have not taken coaching with him for about a year and a half, almost 2 years at this point. But we've maintained that relationship and it's great. Once you've gotten all that stuff together, you have your equipment, you have a coach, what do? You just audition. That's all that you do. Audition wherever you can. And there are lots of places that you can get auditions absolutely free. The first one that I always suggest is castingcall.club. It is a great website for newer voice actors because you are working with small project owners, people who are doing fan dubs, who might be doing animatics for comics that they like. It's a lot of smaller projects, podcasts, right? All of these things are posted on there, and there are a few things to look out for. First of all, it's free, which is great. Free is a good thing. There are lots of projects to audition for, and there are consistently projects that are being updated on there. And what I really like as a newer voice actor is that you can listen to other auditions for that same project. So say that you're auditioning for a role and you put your stuff in there. I always suggest putting your audition in before you listen to anybody else, but you put your audition in, you've submitted it, and now you can see your audition and compare it directly with the 50 other people who have also auditioned for that same role. And you can see what some of these other takes might be like. Some of them might be absolutely terrible. Some of them might be pretty good. Some of them you might like, but then the role is given to somebody else. But then you can ask yourself, I wonder what it was about that particular audition that won the role for that person. So it's a really good idea to use that and get a barometer of where you are compared to other people who might be auditioning in this early process. Next, you can also look at Twitter. Twitter is a great place to find free auditions with hashtags like voice acting, casting call. You can follow things like VA Casting RT, which is retweets, which essentially is just an account that finds cattle call auditions on Twitter and retweets them. So it kind of aggregates all of these things, and you can find auditions there, and usually they're paid as well. So you can get into a lot of indie games or small animations just through following that one account. So you can also go a different route. You can go through ACX, which is the Audible Casting Exchange, I believe. And this is where a lot of people find audiobook auditions for free. Once again, you set up an account there and you can audition for, I'm sure at this point there are over 1,000 audiobooks that you can audition for. A lot of them admittedly are not great. It's a lot of erotica and romance novels, but there's some good stuff on there. And I actually got my start on ACX as an audiobook narrator. The one thing that I do suggest with that is after you set up your profile and you're looking for things to audition for, do your best to avoid royalty share, which essentially means that you will get a percentage of the sales of whatever audiobook you are producing. That might be a good deal for some people if you are reading for, say, Harry Potter or the Twilight series or something that we know is going to sell very, very well. But the open auditions that you'll find on ACX generally are books that they're not on the New York Times bestseller. So getting paid for your time, even if it's $50 or $100 per finished hour, that's going to net out to be more money than just about any royalty share that you would find on ACX. So try and avoid royalty share wherever possible. You also can sign up for things like Bidalgo, the Voice Realm. Those are some websites that are free to get in terms of the talent pool, and just follow the instructions on the website. And I know people have gotten some good jobs from there. And then even Reddit. Reddit's another place where occasionally you'll find some jobs. You can go to places like r/voice acting, r/voiceover, which is not as active. You also have r/record this for free. If you just want to do things without getting paid, then you can check that out as well. You can also make your own content. You can make YouTube videos. If you're an artist, you could try your hand at some animation. You can make your own content and start voicing that just to get your feet under you. Now, when you are auditioning for these things, do every audition with the idea of gaining experience and learning. Every audition is a chance to learn and to grow as a voice actor. There's a tendency down the line to eventually just get a little bit complacent and nonchalant with all of your auditions. Don't do that. Look at every audition, look at every script, and consider the who, what, where, when, why of every script, whether that's animation or that's a commercial, anything like that, because those are the questions that will get you jobs. If you can confidently answer those questions and bring your read into those answers, then that's what gets you jobs. Learn from that and figure out, what might have I been missing from previous auditions. And finally, don't get hung up on specific auditions. Sometimes you get really excited about a potential project that you've auditioned for, to Super Bowl commercial for TurboTax or something like that. I know TurboTax doesn't sound exciting, but it's a Super Bowl ad. You want to be a part of that. But don't get too hung up on those things and keep on going back and checking. Once you audition, try and forget about it as much as possible and just move on to the next audition. And if you get a message saying you got the job, great, great. Notice that throughout this entire video, I never mentioned a demo. Lots of new VAs think that a demo is the way to get them jobs, and that is not the case. A demo gets you just about nowhere as a new voice actor. A demo is a show reel of your skills as a voice actor. And I'm sorry to say, when you're starting, that's not a good showcase. That's not going to sell you well to people. Avoid a demo for just about as long as possible. Now, when we go back to coaches, don't get a coach with the idea of getting a demo at the end. There are some that do demo production, but that should be a separate service and not necessarily why you are getting your coaching. These demo farms are just there to make money and might not be great at the coaching and don't think that you need to have a certain skill set in order to produce that demo. When do you get a demo? That's when you've started landing higher profile jobs that you can add to your resume, and you've got some validation that you are good at what you're doing. And demos can help you get things like agents. You can post that on your website. That's all great. But that's when you have established yourself as a high skill, high quality voice actor. So, in conclusion, number one, and I'm going to say this over and over in so many videos, voice acting is acting. Begin with basic equipment, do your research, find resources, and read, or watch if you're on YouTube. Find a coach, and then just audition and don't get a demo. That's the long and the short of it when it comes to your early steps of voice acting. I hope that this has been helpful for you. I've rambled on at this point, uncut, for about 24 minutes. Hopefully I can cut this down a little bit to something a bit more manageable. But thank you so much for watching. If you have questions, again, please put them in the comments below because I want to be able to answer those questions either with a response comment or maybe even in a future video. So please continue to comment on these videos. It helps me and hopefully can help you as well. And also, just if you can, go ahead and subscribe below. That also does help validate that I'm doing something right and maybe getting some good information out there. And it also helps me with the algorithm. So more people who are looking to get into voice acting might be able to find this and be helped by whatever ramblings I happen to post. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.